Welcome to Be a Voice. This is Britt James on Usula Media. Thanks for joining me today. I'm excited about today's show because I have been waiting for about 3 years to get this guest on here, and it was like pulling teeth a little bit, but finally today it really was like pulling teeth with you.
I want to keep them all.
Oh, you can keep them all. Well, that's good because
yes.
You should. But it was because you're a busy person. You really are. But I have you today, and it's great. I'm sitting here with Amber Miller.
Hi.
Hi, Amber.
Hi.
You really don't think it was difficult getting you here?
I just think our schedules aligning was a little difficult because you're equally, if not arguably, more busy than I am.
All right,
we get our regular catch-ups via dog walks.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. But I sort of just want to put all that blame on you. It was so much easier.
Okay, I'll take it.
Really
I'll be the fall guy this time.
But thank you so much for joining me today.
I am so glad to.
I am excited about it because I know you because yes, we know each other off of here. But there may be some viewers out there and listeners who know you once we tell them who you are, and some who may not know you. So tell everybody, who are you, Amber?
I am Amber Miller. We were just talking off recording, off camera. I am a proud Philadelphian, but I'm a native Detroiter, and I think those two things go together really well. And I was joking. I'm a Detroitadelphian. I actually would flip that to a Philly Detroiter.
But you know what? I think Detroitadelphia works for you because you're from Detroit.
Right, because I'm...
And I want to call it out right now. It is Detroit. It's not Detroit.
Yes, Detroit. That's how you... I don't know. It just is. Detroit.
So in the Kiss song,
yeah,
is it Detroit or Detroit Rock City?
It's...
Yeah.
I don't define myself by the rules that Kiss sets up. And... if you're from Detroit, it's Detroit. Anyhow, too much Detroit talk already here off the top. I am a proud Philadelphia homeowner, but I am the program director at Alt 104.5, an iHeart radio station. Here in Philly, we're based in Bala Cynwyd. I'm also on the air for the first 5-6 years. I did middays 10 to 3, but over the course of the last year or so, little sort of change in the lineup, and I now host nights, which is actually more my vibe.
You're a night person.
I'm a like the nighttime, like the fall, like Halloween, like wearing all black, like the Cure. Anyhow, I feel at home at night. So nights from 7 to midnight. And even though I am the boss, and I guess I'm bossing myself when I'm on the radio, I do feel like there's a little bit more freedom at night. You can have a little bit more fun. People are a little less like, I'm in the office and things need to be, so it's like it's a fun time to be on the radio.
That's interesting you say that because, now that I think about it, like afternoon radio sometimes bores me.
Okay.
Only because it's
too safe.
Yeah. We talked about it before we came on too. Yeah. Like morning radio is edgy.
Yeah.
Morning shows, they can be a little edgier.
Yep.
They're allowed to curse sometimes. They can get away with a little bit more, not like curse, but they can get away with a little more.
They will push
ballsy
the boundaries.
Stuff.
Yes.
Whereas like you couldn't, or you could, and you might probably get more trouble.
Yeah, it's also not. That's not my nature.
Right.
To push boundaries in that way necessarily.
Right.
Afternoon radio is interesting because sort of as a trend for a while, and I think it's still happening in some places. They basically were trying to take morning radio shows and make them work in afternoon, like take that entertainment aspect, take that engagement aspect, the multi-person show sort of aspect, and make that be a thing, because listening is higher sort of during the drive times, right? Morning time. And so typically they're like, oh, there's more listening, there's a chance to capture more ears, there's a chance to capture more advertising dollars, so maybe we invest more in talent in that time, and that does have two person. So our sister station Q102 has Bex and Buster.
I was going to say, well, Q102 has Bex and Buster in the afternoon.
Yep. So that is a thing, and I think particularly from my lifestyle, I like it in afternoons because it's like I'm not up at 6 a.m. necessarily, unless it's a gym day, but that's a whole other. I'm not necessarily up, and so I feel like you're a little more awake, you're a little more loose, you're a little less serious, and I think that's a cool concept.
Do you think it works for them because it's a different demographic as well? Because there are two different demographics, or
do have some overlap. Yes, they tend to, just generally speaking, we're an alternative rock station. We tend to skew a bit older than the pop station, right? So Q102 is a pop station.
Even with 104.5 for how many years?
Going on 7.
7 years.
Yeah,
7 years. I mean, let's face it. Like in media itself, you know, once you get past that 3-year mark, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, that's
double secret probation is over.
Yeah, it's definitely over. After 5 years, it's like, wow, I'm a lifer. And 7 years is real. Plus, you're not just on air.
Right.
You are running the show. You're programmed right. You're making sure it's all running smoothly.
Trying,
so you're trying. So that's a lot. Like 7 years, that's great. Congratulations.
Thank you. It is great. And it's a very rewarding job. It's a very fun job, but there is a lot going on. Like I was thinking about it before our conversation this morning. And 5-7 years ago, like 4 people would have been doing my current job, right? That's not to say woe is me. That is the ever evolving landscape, right?
That's the way the world's
AI
going.
has not taken over our business just yet, but Lord knows.
Oh my gosh.
I do listen to, sort of out of morbid curiosity, Spotify now has an AI DJ.
Really?
My AI DJ name, I don't know if everybody has the same one. It's a guy named X. And he's this little, if you look at the screen, he's this little talking circle, and he like vibrates. It like looks like he's kind of like talking to like a circle Pac-Man sort of situation. And he's like, okay, here's your vibe. Here's something you were into a few years ago, but haven't listened to in a long time. He uses the word vibe way too much. If I were to air check him, it'd be like, but so it's interesting. It's like, well, what is this? And does this do the same thing? Should we really be afraid that our jobs as hosts and personalities could potentially be going away because of AI? And I'm like, I don't know. It leaves a lot to be desired for me so far. It's sort of like he'll talk for a second, like he's still sort of like get out of the way, right? It's like, and then get out of the way. And ideally, in our business, you're about making connections.
Right. That's what I was just thinking. I'm like, that's cool. It sounds great. I mean, it could be really good from, 11 or midnight on, to the morning. But it's those connections. Like when I listen to the radio, I mean, like I grew up with radio. I mean, radio, I grew up with the boombox. I was the person that sat there with the box and waiting for my favorite song to come on to record. And, I knew the DJs because I was calling into the stations and all that stuff. And, it's the connections.
Yep.
You feel connected to that DJ. And that's why people tune in.
Yep.
It's just like being on the news on air. You have your favorite news stations.
Yes, we do.
There are those connections.
Yep.
And I don't think I can get connected to an AI. I just can't get down with that.
Not yet, anyhow, and I hope that it never happens. I think the other thing that it's interesting that we ended up down this path, but there's no, Spotify is like this nameless, placeless thing, and here I'm like, a couple of the first things I said were Detroit-Adelphian, right? Like, Philadelphia is so much part of my personality. Detroit is part of my roots and my personality and, who I am. And AI is just like, I exist out here in space, but whatever. I think when local radio is doing it right, they are very local. I'm talking about the sinkhole in King of Prussia or 95 falling down and the phenomenon of the live stream that happened and the updates of, oh my God, it's actually going to be back open in, less than 2 weeks time. All of those things. Those are things that, the music, theoretically, you're like, okay, I could go press play on something that I'm interested in, that I like, but sometimes you don't know what the new stuff that you're gonna like, or you forget that, oh my God, The Cure used to be one of my favorite bands, and I haven't listened to that in forever. So hopefully, well curated radio. Oh, I sure did. I sure did.
I'm so envious.
So it was very expensive shows where somebody like backed out on me or whatever, and I was like, I am in this for me, and this is my band coming just to play for me in an arena. And so I was like, I'm gonna go I'm in the fight for myself, right? And by the way, so many people didn't get tickets because it's the first time they've toured in a very long time.
Plus, they were so expensive for some tickets.
Well, they were, and God bless our goth lord, Robert Smith, who really fought for ticket prices and fought against fees.
I heard about his merch.
And the t-shirts are
$25. What is that? Like, that right there shows he's doing it because he loves it. That was a passion. And let's face it, like, and even if it wasn't, when you grew up, like that was when I grew up. That was the 80s. I grew up. But if it wasn't, I mean, there's kids who grew up in the 2000s that The Cure is part of their life. And
absolutely.
that show, I miss it, but it was great. It was just amazing.
It was great. And they played for almost 3 hours.
Which is sick. He got big.
Well, he seems very happy. And he performs the shit out of those songs still. He sounds fantastic. There's still a spark, right? Like sometimes once you and by the way, I don't blame it. Once you do anything for the 7,000th time, are you gonna find the same joy and energy in it that you did the first 15 times or whatever? No, but there's still definitely like that excitement in it. And maybe it's because they don't tour quite as much. I think the pandemic also made us all appreciate the ability to gather and have those communal experiences in a way that we couldn't for 2 years. One of my first shows back was My Morning Jacket and Brittany Howard at the Man.
MMJ's like, man, like that's synonymous.
Yep.
They're there. Anyway.
And I was there with a couple of friends, and they're not like my favorite band of all time or anything, but sitting there in that moment, I was like, how did we live for 2 years without
how
that?
You live, because that's your passion.
I mean, yeah.
You love shows. You love live music.
Yeah.
You love music.
Yeah.
How did you start this? Well, first of all, when you were younger, like, I never checked the box what I wanted to be when I grew up, because let's face it, like I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. It's crazy. But was this something you thought of? Like, were you a type of person that grabbed like the hairbrush and talked into it like you're on air, or?
No, it wasn't really that. I got up early for high school is where I can like, oh no, okay, no, I have to go back further than that. So there was a very popular like nighttime show on the very adult focused radio station 100.3 WNIC, and they had a show called Pillow Talk at night, and the host was a very sort of like sultry sounding older man named Alan Almond. Nobody knew what he looked like. This is before social media, whatever. And I like wrote him a letter. Like I would listen. Speaking of connection, I was not the demographic. I was like a 15-year-old girl or something, but something about what he did and the connection to music and the vibe and whatever. So I can't remember what I wrote him a letter about, but I think I've always listened to the radio. I have fantastic memories of driving around in my family's minivan singing REM's Losing My Religion with the family, like at the top of our lung, like throwing the windows open and like basically like screaming it at passersby. And those moments that you have with the radio have always sort of been part of my like upbringing in life. But no, I would just get up early in the morning and get ready for high school when you really cared about the placement of mascara and how your hair looked and stuff. And the first thing I did was turn the radio on, and there was a morning show, Johnny in the Morning, on a station called 96.3. It was WPLT. It was The Planet. It was like alternative at the time. And that's what I did. And I knew I listened as much as I possibly could. However, I was in high school and I was good at math and science. And when I decided to go to college, I was a chemistry major for the first. It was what I was like. I was good at math and science, and I was like, I'm gonna be I didn't know, pharmacist maybe. And so I started off on that path, taking all the
those STEM classes.
All the fun classes that you might take, like all your extra credits that you need that don't really count towards anything or whatever.
Like those 52 credits that you never needed?
Right. Some people would go and like have fun with that. I was like, let me take organic chemistry and let me take calculus for scientists and engineers and stuff, because that's what I thought I was going to do. Fast forward like a year and a half in, so my third semester, I was like, what am I doing with my life? This is hard now, not in a fun way. And I sort of tried to fast forward to think about what my life might look like if I continue down this path. And I was like, nope, hard stop, got to do something else. What can I do with my life? Should I join the Peace Corps? I was like, oh, you actually have to have skills to do that. I don't have any good skills. What am I going to do with myself? And I was like, well, if I'm making a change, I better get it right? And I was like, what do I love? I love music. Music is what makes me tick. I can't sing. I can't play an instrument. But I love music. And it just so happened that my college, Central Michigan University, fire up chips, had this incredible broadcasting program and a really cool traditional college radio station, really indie, really fun. Like sometimes colleges have radio stations that broadcast within the campus. This was like an actual FM signal that broadcasts out to the community. And I was stuck with my classes that semester because it was like past the drop point or whatever. But the first thing I did was go and sign up for the radio station. You had to be somebody's jock assistant first. You had to work with like a seasoned DJ. And I got this incredible woman named Patty Williamson, who is faculty there still. So yeah, she was a grad student at the time, and she's still faculty there. She ended up teaching one of my copywriting class, or anyhow, she was great. So I did that for a semester, and then I was like, oh, I am all in. I found my people there, and I think that you understand the power of community and everything that you do. Mm-hmm. I found my people there. My community was there, and like I never looked back. I think my parents were like, wait, from chemist or pharmacist to whatever the hell you're doing, but
to music,
whatever. They're like, are you happy?
Did you know what you wanted to do with music? It's almost like saying I want to go to school for art or psychology. You know, there's got to be like that.
Then it was radio. It was radio all the way.
It was.
So I changed my major to broadcast and cinematic arts. So I did get to study some film, which was
cool
really
too.
Cool. Some of the like 500 level classes I took were these 1 week summer courses where you just sat and like watched 5 different important films from a genre and then wrote a paper on. It was the best way.
You took 500 level classes as an undergrad?
Yeah, or whatever.
What's wrong with you?
I think you had to take just a few for
I guess at Central Michigan, not at East Stroudsburg, in the middle of Poconos there, they're like, you're lucky if you get by. You're good. You got a 2.0, get out.
Sweet, bye. Good luck with your life. So that was super fun. But no, I knew it was going to be radio. We had to take some TV courses as well. That just wasn't my vibe. So sharing music and making connection was just sort of my thing. I was all in with the music aspect.
It's pretty cool when you think about it as a DJ, on the radio. When you're on the radio and you're in your car as the listener, you think they're just talking to you and nobody else. And that's where that connection comes in. Yeah. And that's where you feel like empowered by that person. So you empower people probably more than you know.
It's always interesting to get tweets and texts and Instagram make the feedback, phone obviously too, but so much more immediate. You're in a studio by yourself and you're in this little bubble world sometimes. And then I remember when I was working at a radio station in Vermont, the song Heads Will Roll by Yeah Yeah Yeahs, really fantastic song.
Yeah.
Played it one morning, and somebody sent a video of them out in a cornfield doing like a hula hoop, like this whole hula hoop like thing. And I was like, I would never in a million years, that's what where this person was listening, what they were doing. And they were like inspired by that moment to hop out and do a little video of their like, the really fancy hula hooping skill, where it's a whole dance and choreograph thing. And I'm like, the things that people are doing with their lives, people would, there's a lot of farms out there, check in from farms for I'm out milking the cows and I'm listening. Thanks for keeping me company. That sort of thing. It's like you would never imagine those scenarios in your wildest dreams, right? I mean, obviously I think about, maybe somebody's driving around in the car, listening, going from point A to point B or whatever. But I really do love sort of social media and then the old social media telephone for giving that perspective. Because it does feel like you're like, it's me in this microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
You sort of get lost in your own zone for a while.
You do, and but I'm still a big believer. I'm one of those people that I won't get out of the car if there's a good song on until it's over. Like
I'll turn it up and wait.
Yeah. Like that's the most important thing. That's very much like living in the now, living in the moment. So I think
there's something wrong with people who do get out of the car if there's a good song going on. I mean, that's the whole purpose of a good song because you're not going to hear it again for a while.
We can't be friends. If
yeah,
you hear
exactly.
That, yeah.
So after college, how'd the radio come in? The disc jockey? How did all that happen?
It never stopped from there. So I went on from chemistry major, Amber, jock assistant, learning the ropes at college radio to sign me up for my own show, music director of the radio station, working with all the other management people at the radio station to just learn the ins and outs, right? There was like a battle royale over whether or not we should play like rap music on our very like indie alternative rock station kind of thing. So you go through those things in a time when the stakes are lower, right? Where you're learning.
Right.
Which it was a super interesting, looking back now, it's a super interesting thing, like what fits, what doesn't. People ask me all the time, what's alternative, right? And it's like, that's a very difficult thing to define, right? And oftentimes it's more about a spirit and a credibility than it is necessarily about, is it guitars or not? Anyhow, internship into part-time job, into driving a van and setting up
promos.
Yeah.
Everybody does that, don't they? They all do the promo route.
Yep.
There's this like little like club in Philly of people that I know. I call it the club, but they were all promo people together at one point at radio, and they went on with their career, of course, from there. But I hear that, I'm like, really?
Well, there tend to be a fair amount of those jobs, and they are the sort of an entry level position where you can get your foot in the door, and then you're meeting everybody. You are literally meeting everybody. And if you're good and you're enthusiastic, then you get the opportunity to do the next thing and the next thing. And so that's
I
kind
never
of
wondered why they're always like, hey, how are you? Like, I never really thought of that. I'd be like, here, you want a shirt? You want a keychain? There you go.
Well, no, but we all deal with enough grumps in our lives that maybe we don't want, our brand associated with a negative interaction or experience, right?
Could you ever work for a station that wasn't like music that you don't like?
Yeah, music yes. So I worked for a hot AC station. I want to be careful about how I say this. I would tend to, so it's a little bit older, it's poppier, it's pop without the edge.
Like Debbie Gibson?
Yeah, that's maybe a little bit, like a lot of Kelly Clarkson. We'll call it like Kelly Clarkson.
Same difference, just 10 years later.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, fair. I'm like, this has been a long time ago.
So it's like American Idol 2000.
Yes.
Okay.
So, which is just not my...
You're not a pop person.
Soul is.
Let's say you got more excited about The Cure than you would about going to see Taylor Swift.
Yes, though there is something about just
you're a
how.
Swiftie too?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'll go back to this. I'm not a Swiftie. However, she's worked with my favorite band of all time, The National, collaborated quite a bit over the last couple of years, and so I've been
She's got edgier.
sucked in that. I think just sort of maybe more authentic and more grown up. In some ways, the whole spectacle of the Taylor Swift thing is just so interesting to me. And those epic shows she's putting on. So it's not like, but no, I didn't go to the Taylor Swift show, and I did go to The Cure by myself. Was like,
Did you go by yourself?
I did go by myself.
Get out of here.
I didn't finish that story, but I was like, I am gonna get my ticket, and I'm gonna go in, and this is the one time where I'm not gonna be like trying to get everybody together. And I think because I only had to buy a single ticket, I was able to get a ticket, and a good ticket, and it was incredible. But
that's awesome. I didn't know you were. That's sick.
Sometimes I will always go to a show by myself. Like, I don't.
Because you're not there to hang out with them. You're there for the music. You're there for the band.
Please don't talk to me incessantly. Please don't talk to me incessantly at a show.
Are you
invite me in to talk to me at your pod,
Well, you do that, but not at a show. There's no reason for it. Not
Yeah.
when the music's playing.
Yeah, agreed.
So do you like going to see live music at like bars and stuff like that?
Sure.
So you're a venue person, whatever. There's a good band, you go.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. But back to.
Yeah, I'm
back
sorry,
to.
yeah.
No. This is the
We're
joy of
tangents. Trust me. ADD.
The joy of this is we get to have those tangents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Promotions crew is always like, it's such a cool way to meet people, to get your foot in the door, and to prove your worth almost. And then I was like, let me be on the air. Because I did it in college. Let me be on the air. They put me on in overnights, like a fill-in one time. And I was like, now I've got my chance. Let me be on the air more. Let me be more, please. And then a new morning show started, and they hired me in as being like their 18th person, like the 18th 18th assistant producer. And I was like, let me do more. And so it sort of all started from that. But it was always going to be, the minute I walked into that college radio station, it was always going to be radio, right? And I got into radio for music, which is you asked the question, have I ever worked somewhere where you're not super into the music? Yes. And a lot of people do that just to be employed, right? I got really lucky to end up in my genre of choice.
Yeah, and right now, because when you started 104.5, what was it then?
It was alternative. It was Radio 104.5.
Radio 104.5. So, yeah. Then it changed its name to Alt to really broadcast what they were.
It just was more clear as to this is who we are and what we do, right?
Do people recognize you because you're a voiceover?
It's happened a few times.
It's happened a few times.
A couple times dining out or that sort of thing.
Yeah?
Yep.
Which is weird because, let's face it, you talked about, this guy you listened to.
Alan Almond.
Alan Almond, like the smutty Delilah, I guess, a little bit.
I was gonna reference Delilah. It was kind of like Delilah before Delilah. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm like, are you still on air? Like I pulled up the other day and she was talking and she actually cut the guy off too. She's like, okay, so then, Paul. I was like, yo, you're getting feisty, Delilah. Maybe it's time for you to.
She's like, we live in our ratings are now a PPM world where the seconds count, and so you got to keep that forward momentum. Like, yo.
But
Delilah.
Did you ever find out what this guy Alan looked like?
No, he recently died. There were all these tributes to him in the Detroit newspapers and stuff, and I don't even think they were like, that was part of his mystique. I don't think they ever even published photos of him.
That's crazy.
It's better for me not to know, I think.
That's interesting. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I would want to know. But it's because, let's face it, radio, different thing. On TV, you're presented to, your fullest extent, your hair, everything. You can probably go in there if you want on a snow day and put your hair up, sweats on, and that's great. It's
glorious. Though to be fair, I thank God I don't have to do full hair makeup and care what I'm wearing every day. It's a very casual job and industry, and that's great. However, social media makes it so that certainly there's more on-camera stuff.
And you're not a big camera person for you to be in front of a camera. And on social media, because and if people want to find you on social media, where are they going to find you on Instagram?
I'm at She's My Friend on Instagram. And on Twitter at Amber K. Miller. And Threads as well.
You're on Threads now?
It was
I couldn't sign up for it because then I found out that if, you want to delete it you have to delete your Instagram.
Oh, I didn't know that. It's just
It was then, of course, I'm like, it's another way of Zuck to get more information from me and keep me around. And he owns our asses. Let's face it.
I am resigned to it at this point. If you want to live in modern world at all, everybody's got all of your information. It's fine. I'll nerd tweet about all my favorite music and cool things that are going on in Philly and my dog and so.
Your dog's cool though. Your dog's amazing.
That's how we met.
That's really. Exactly how we met, and it was because of our dogs. Yeah. You're walking your dog, and you even said to me, you were working, and I said, well, "What do you do?" And you said, "You're on radio." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Oh, you're Amber Miller." Okay, cool. Didn't really faze me, because we were both standing there. As we just woke up, the hair was all over, But when you think about it, and I think about radio, and I think about the people on radio. You don't really get to see their faces. Like when I was growing up, I didn't have social media. I didn't see their faces. I didn't know what they looked like. There wasn't billboards of people's faces plastered all over. Let's face it, Preston and Steve, nobody knew what they looked like for the longest time.
That's right.
They just heard those voices.
Yep.
I'm sure they wish they didn't. No, they really don't care to have their faces plastered all over. They're great guys. But, for you, do you find it difficult, like when you have to do social media, when I say you have to, when you have to do it?
I wouldn't call it difficult. I don't think
Awkward?
I don't love being in front of the camera, right?
I'll let you talk.
Then you try to find ways of expressing yourself in a way that it's not me yapping at the camera. I'll do that sometimes, and sometimes that's the easiest way to get a message across. But it's not it's not natural for me to want to do that or my go-to.
So you're not going to walk around holding your camera selfie on your story thread like, I'm in here.
Again, it happens every once in a while because sometimes it's the simplest way to communicate a message. It does not come naturally to me. And I think part of that is just an age or an era thing. That's not to say that there aren't people who are my age who aren't stars at that who haven't adapted to that really well. I think people think, oh, you're on the radio or you're in the media. It's maybe an ego thing, and for some people it might be. For me, it really is like so disgustingly pure. It's like, no, I really just wanted to, it was music, it was all about the music for me. So for me to be, it's fine for me to get up on stage and introduce bands. And so that's all part of the experience. It's all part of that connection to the music. That doesn't feel terribly awkward, or I don't get stage fright or anything like that, but it's not the reason that I'm doing things. So to be like this all the time isn't necessarily the most natural.
Your passion is the
feeling.
music.
Yeah.
You genuinely love the music.
Yeah.
So you transfer that passion for the music into your career.
And you hope that anything you're sharing on social media really is sort of helps with awareness of, maybe it's a little baby band. Maybe it's oh my God, here's a reminder, The Cure are still fucking awesome.
They are.
Here it's I give blood, so maybe it's not even something you ever thought about doing. Like, maybe it just it plants a little seed that, like, oh, it must not be that hard. Like, if Britt does it, then, oh, well, maybe I should look into doing that too, kind of thing. Or here's a really cool event that's coming up. Here's a really cool cause that I'm involved in or passionate about. So some of it's just like amplifying things that are already happening, and I think that's where I'm most comfortable, because it's not like all about me.
What was the coolest band you ever introduced, or the coolest performer?
Dude, that's so hard.
Or your favorite, I should say. Were you most giddy or maybe like schoolgirl about?
Actually, the ones that I love the most are the ones that I am most terrified of. Like, you really want to do them justice. You really don't want to be an a-hole. You really don't. You want to say the right thing and then get out of the way, right? When it comes to introducing bands, God, I don't even know. Interview-wise, like, I've talked to everybody, Foo Fighters and Muse and Jack White and
Sick.
Green Day, and I don't have a specific memory of a connection of like, this is the coolest stage introduction I've ever done. I'm thinking about like Death Cab for Cutie at the Met was kind of cool, because that was like I'm sorry, not the Met, at the Tower Theater. Let's try that again. The old Met, almost, right? Like, in my head, that's what those are. Sorry. No. Death Cab at the Tower Theater was like kind of a cool, special, smaller, intimate sort of thing. But I mean, there have been it's just sort of part of the, like, get up there and
do it.
Yeah.
It's your daily. It's your routine.
Yeah.
You don't think twice.
If it was The Cure or 9 Inch Nails or something like that, I would remember that, because I would have genuinely been terrified.
Do you have pictures all over your house of the people that you met? Are you one of those?
No. I think that sort of checks out with like there are some on Instagram, which is
that checks out with the fact that you're not all about you're about the music. You're about the passion of it, and you enjoy it. Do you ever get connected with any of the bands or anything that you're friendly with them?
Very rarely. I'm very like, these are our boundaries, and you do end up seeing the same people come through over again and again, and you do establish a rapport with them.
Right.
Judah and the Lion was a band that we were very close with.
They're like 104.5 synonymous for a long time, Judah and the Lion.
And then, just prior to that, in my entire radio journey, I've always done radio except for 3 years before I came here. I was back in Detroit working for technically it was a distribution company, but a record label doing radio promotion. So talking to people who worked at radio stations like myself now, and advocating for songs to be played on the radio, and then to deepen that relationship by, let's do a meet and greet, let's do a session, let's do an interview, let's, whatever. And I repped Judah and the Lion from the label side before I came to the radio side.
That's crazy.
Glass Animals is another band like that, where I end up having all of these experiences sort of from both sides with artists like that. So I would say that those are more deeper, more special relationships, but it's not like I'm on the phone with Jack White every day, even though we are both Detroiters, and he hates Philadelphia, and that makes me
really.
He won't play Philly.
Why?
I don't know.
Just hates it.
It's been like there must have been an incident like 15 years ago, and he refuses in any of his band's iterations, Rockin' Tour, Solo.
So that means Camden is part of Philly.
Yes.
He won't do that.
Nope.
So
he does not. It's a thing every time he announces a tour. He will not come to Philly. And I am like brokenhearted by that. And I'm like, dude, please, it's time. It's time, please. Jack White, this native Detroiter, now Philadelphian, loves you.
she's making a plea here, Jack.
I don't suck. We don't suck. We're awesome. We would be so appreciative. But yeah.
That's the people that suck here in Philly are only the majority that you. I mean, the minority that you see on TV.
Because it's something to
sucky
talk about.
Yeah, it's a negative. You know, there's so much positive stuff about Philly.
You are like the embodiment of that. For me, you very much are. I think that whole like amplifying voices thing and cool stuff going on and investing in something that like putting your money where your mouth is. I think you are fantastic at that, and I think it's inspiring. Just like I was like, oh, maybe Amber's giving blood, and somebody will think about doing that. Like the things that you're out there doing, you know, on a daily basis, really, at the Ruth Street Garden, or everything you're doing with Philly Unknown, or every time you're posting about an adoptable animal, or just going and adopting them yourself.
I know. Well, that's another thing we have in common. Animals.
Yeah.
You are all about like getting animals adopted. You have a dog, Matilda, who is amazing.
Yes.
She is a cool dog.
She's a cool dog.
And it took her a little while to warm up to me, which is really weird. But that's just her.
Just a hot second.
That's just her.
It's men sometimes.
That's all right, and that's dogs, you know. But now we're real cool now.
God, you're like besties.
Absolutely. But how did that happen? How did the animals? Where'd that come in? Was that since you're younger, or?
We weren't, so as a kid, we always wanted a dog and couldn't have a dog. And so as soon as I was established enough and grown up enough to be able to responsibly afford
to take care of one.
Because you go, it's just food and then a couple of vet visits a year. Oh, it's never just that.
Gosh, they eat before I do.
Right, yeah, that's right. When the time came, I lived in a place that was a rental that was pet friendly, and I was like, this is happening. And we were online, and it was an adoption situation. I was in upstate New York at the time, and a North Carolina rescue would bring vans of dogs up every 6 weeks or whatever. And she was in a foster situation and saw photos of her online, and I went. And then we went through the whole process. I thought it was going to be like a job interview, right? I think depending on who you're adopting for, it's different. They will like come and check your yard, and they will like deny you if there's anything that they're not sure about. This was much more casual than that. I was asking all these questions, like trying to prove that I cared and was responsible enough to take this dog. And they were like, you're good or whatever. So, I always wanted a dog, and so got her as a puppy. They drove her up in this van. The van did their drop-offs in a motel parking lot after their big, long drive, and they set up like these little mobile like gate, little gates and grates and stuff. And I was like, with my leash and my collar and a pocket full of treats, I was like, I'm here for, her name was Tamara at the time. I'm here for Tamara. And they're like, hold on. And they get her out of the van. They just like plop her in my arms. I'm like, here we go, kid. She was, I think, 4 months old at the time. She was much smaller than I was expecting. I bought this like bigger collar and a bigger crate. And we had seen videos and photos of her or whatever. But it sort of started there. And she's just the freaking coolest. It's the coolest thing. I look over at her and I'm like, you're ridiculous and adorable and you bring me so much joy. And yeah, sometimes you do really annoying shit, but it is so beautiful and rewarding. And so she's going on 11, and she's moved with me from upstate New York to Michigan, here to Philly.
She's been through a lot with you.
Yeah.
It's your ride or die.
Yeah, she's a ride or die.
That's awesome.
I had another dog, and we won't get into that too much. He ended up with my ex and is living a very good life. I had another dog. He was also a rescue, and I'm just, so how can you not be passionate about that?
And
right?
you are. You're a voice for the animals, and you do a lot with Morris.
Yep.
You showcase and highlight their animals, which is great. Because they need it. It's Morris. I'm partial to him because I was on the board of directors there for 9 years, and it's one of the oldest. It is the oldest.
It is the oldest.
It
first
is the
animal
oldest.
Rescue,
yes,
right?
First animal rescue in the country. So you do that, which is special to me. I love that you do that.
And when we had, we do an event every November, early December called Friendsgiving, and it's a fundraising event. It's a concert, but it's a concert for a cause. And for the last 2 or 3 years, Morris has been our benefactor with 104.5, alongside Morris and Mural Arts Philadelphia, which is the largest public art program in the entire country.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what are the things that we do and we're passionate about? Music and art, right, go together so well. And who doesn't want to stop and talk about their pet or their dog or their, and it's hard not to be passionate about that. So it's cool to be able to do what we love, but then also sort of like give back and spread awareness too.
And that's important.
But really, I'm out, walking my dog, and I would know none of my neighbors if it wasn't literally none of my neighbors if it wasn't for my pup, particularly in the pandemic, right? When you're out and you can still like yell across the street at people.
As they were like running away from you because they didn't know what was going on.
No, I'm like, please talk to me. I'm starved for human connection.
It's just me and my dogs. That's it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but that's how we met, and I think that's such a cool.
Dogs are great catalysts for connecting people too. So you connect via radio, you connect via dogs. Yeah. You also have this. You love Halloween. You love like the goth.
Yeah.
And are you into supernatural at all, or more just the goth Halloween? That type of vibe.
Yeah.
Is that something you've always been into as well, or?
It's just. I think I come by it. My mom's super into Halloween.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just something that things you're curious about and that bring you joy are the things you try to like let be your compass, right? And weird as it might be, that is one of my things where I'm like, this is something that makes me as a human happy. And there's a lot of adulting and real life stuff that has to happen, and it can suck. And so you try to counterbalance that with the things you find to be fun or interesting.
It's an escape too.
Yeah, it's just I just love it.
You do?
I just love it.
Because you do a little, when you go out to New Hope every year to check out all the scarecrows.
Yeah, I sure do.
The witches.
Yeah.
Is it the witches?
No, it's scarecrows at Peddler's Village.
Peddler's Village,
like
you do that. And
thing,
we were talking earlier about cemeteries too. And I'll tell you, I love cemeteries. I'm a weirdo with cemeteries. I had a friend actually who lived on the cemetery growing up, and stuff like that, which is really cool. But I just find like such interesting thing because like first of all, they're beautiful. There's beautiful characters of the tombstones, of the headpieces, and just to know the history and all that goes with it. Some people may think that's pretty crazy and weird.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Same sort of thing. It's just interesting. There's a beauty in it to me. The art of the headstones, particularly when we went to Massachusetts, to the Boston area, you go and the old wing skulls that was very in vogue on headstones for a while. I find that art to be just sort of very interesting and beautiful. And there's like a story and a whole life behind every one of those people.
So you've been to Salem?
There, I have been to Salem. Yeah, it's
pretty cool.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not going to Boston and not spending some time in Salem. That's
I bet. Have you been to New Orleans?
Just went like 2 years ago for the first time.
Did you go to the cemetery?
Yep. Yeah. Saw Nicolas Cage's. He already has his final resting place there.
Let's face it, his final resting place as an actor has been a long time ago. So
I really like. Did you see his last movie where he's has to tap into? It was really good. Crap. The Unbearable
Lightness of Me? No.
Listen, I need to go look.
I have trauma from Nicolas Cage and Con Air.
Okay, fine. All right. That's fair.
That fake accent of Cameron Poe and, I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to be sorry.
That ruined it all from me from there,
No more. You're not into it. It's fine.
Take me back to Valley Girl with Nicolas Cage and we're
all good. You just cut your relationship off there. It's fine.
And let's not talk about Nicolas Cage anymore.
But he does. So he built his... Thank you. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
The Unbearable Weight of I never even heard of that.
It's somebody, I saw it, somebody recommended it on Twitter.
Thank you, Danny.
Thanks, Danny.
That's great for Google. That's the first time you've ever done that for me. Wow, you must really like you, Amber.
He was seeing me struggle. He's like, I can't handle it.
I know. He's like, all of a sudden he started talking. I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
But he built his final resting place in one of the like very famous New Orleans cemeteries, and it's a giant pyramid. Like mausoleum, and it's there already for when he's ready for it. But we talked our way into a closed private cemetery too. We were like in that same area. Had just taken a tour.
Talked your way into it.
Well, kinda. So we were going.
People talk their way into clubs. You talked your way into a cemetery.
We were like walking around. It was like on our route to somewhere else, and it was kind of gated off. And we were like poking around, looking a little bit. And there's a groundskeeper there, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, it's closed to the public. Do you have family here?" And I was like, "No, we don't. We're just visiting from out of town." And it looks beautiful. We just toured XYZ cemetery. He's like, you do have family here, don't you? And I was like,
yeah.
He's like, here, buy these flowers from me to go lay on your beloved family member's gravestone, and you can come in for a half an hour. It was like a really interesting like side hustle.
He probably pocketed that money too.
I'm sure he did.
Good
but
for
he
him.
was like selling. I don't know where he got the flowers from. Did he take them from somebody? I don't know where.
Doesn't
he got
really
the flowers.
matter. He pocketed that money in.
So we went and laid
Wait,
flowers.
he actually gave you flowers?
He gave it. Yeah. He's like, this is how it'll look legit.
He took it off the burial or that day.
I don't know what he did. Whatever, man. It was so cool because we got this like private.
That is cool.
Visit in the cemetery.
Have you ever just driven somewhere and saw a cemetery and stopped?
Oh yeah, all the time.
You know which one's fascinating me? Those small ones.
The little itty bitty. Okay.
Yes.
Bob's Diner it's not a tiny one.
I love that cemetery, Levington.
Yep. I'm like, it's so weird. I would totally take over this diner someday and like goth it up. Like it's right in the cemetery's right there. This could be like a year round. I mean, all the food could be, we could have like black pancakes.
Ooh.
And I know it's super dumb. It's
Toss
super
the church out and make it an attraction.
Or at least maybe we could theme Bob's Diner for a week around Halloween and do like a.
That's weird.
Like
they don't do that.
Goth milkshake special.
You're like planning your retirement here.
I totally am. But yeah, I don't know why. I'm fascinated. Every time I run on Kelly Drive, Laurel Hills, up there, and I'm always just like, it's such a cool, beautiful. That particularly is such like a Philly thing, right? To just be like, hey.
Well, it's
long deceased friends.
We said it earlier. It's the history. It's
the history. Yeah.
You don't know somebody's story that's there, but their family that comes along with it, the history, and just the beauty. And then it's really weird too. Like when I was younger, and this is just me because I'm just weird sometimes, but when I was younger, I'd be like, oh, you'd have the mausoleums and the bigger ones. You're like, oh, this must have been a really wealthy family. And then you have the small one over there, and it was like, oh, I feel really bad for these people. So I'm going to hang out over here with the people on the grass. And that's the way I would be because I always thought, there was a division. Just like life,
Yep,
but
that's right.
That's a cool fascination to have.
And I know some people think it's like sacrilege. I love that Laurel Hill has all sorts of programming that brings life into the cemetery all the time. The Philly's Dead Milkmen regularly
They were just there the other night.
They were just there the other night. Play shows there. Like, how cool. They do walking tours. They
used to have a ball, the Gravedigger's Ball.
Yep.
Do they still do it?
They don't do it there. I believe the last place that they've done it was the Masonic Temple, but it's a fundraiser for the
Didn't they
cemetery.
do it at the cemetery years and years ago?
You might be predating.
Danny, Google it.
But I would be much more inclined to want to go if it was at the cemetery. They do like a 5 or 10K there every year too. Again,
have you ever been to the other one across the way, West Laurel Hill?
Yes, I have.
We have with Philly Current. They actually rent the space out there. And you have events in the cemetery.
Why not? Why not? And they're not bringing money in by doing new business anymore, right? Most of a lot of these historic places, so you got to keep it up.
Yep.
We were just talking about Mount Moriah Cemetery, which was long abandoned and also very cool in its own way, and has come a long way. I think thanks to volunteers and an organization stepping in to like clean it up. But I don't know. I just find it fascinating. They're very peaceful, very beautiful park-like. We all end up maybe not there specifically, but it is the final destination for everybody. So what's it's weird. It's not weird to
Could you walk through one at 2 a.m?
Oh, yeah.
That wouldn't creep you out?
No.
Why do you think that creeps people out?
I don't.
Could you walk by yourself through one at 2 a.m?
Yeah.
Okay, now that creeps me out.
You're like, I mean, if
I'd walk through with you, but by
Okay,
yourself.
all right. I mean, I haven't actively gone and done that.
Well, I'm going to be calling you at 2 a.m. one day, and let's go over and walk through one.
I got some insomnia going on over here, Amber. Come on.
Every night.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, I totally would.
oh my gosh, this is great. Your passion for so many things is just culminated. Do you think Philly is a final resting place for you?
I think it has a very good shot of being a final resting place for me. Yeah, I love it. I love that it's real. I love that it has some work to do and that it's doing it. I love the people. I love everything about Philly.
It's home.
It's home. I love, I'm tucked into Wissahickon Park, in my neighborhood, and the fact that that is a 5-minute walk to a trailhead from here to the 100 Steps is wild. That I can be in the city and then that vast nature, beauty, park, waterfront, trails. It's affordable enough in terms of big cities.
Yeah.
Right? I love Philadelphia, and there's never a lack of interesting things to do or people to.
Always something going on here in
Yeah.
Philly. Always something going
Yeah.
on. If you could go back and tell, younger Amber something, words of advice for her to keep in her mind as she goes through her journey in life, what would you do? What would you tell her?
Oh, Britt, that's hard. Have you tried to answer this question yourself?
Nope, I don't have to. I'm the one who asked it.
Okay, fair. Man, don't take everything so seriously. It's not all that serious. Keeping after joy and chasing the happy things. It's not all that serious.
It's hard to do though sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. Definitely is. But you do it.
Yeah.
You do it.
Yeah.
Do you look at things serious or you look at things as not so serious?
Oh
most
no,
of the time?
I'm way too. That's the current Amber also needs that needs that advice.
So
right?
what would you tell the current Amber? Not take things too serious.
But current Amber is much chiller. Firstborn, like type A, go get it. It's.
How many brothers, sisters you got?
I have one younger sister, Autumn. We have matching tattoos that we got here
Ditto.
in Philadelphia. Ditto. It's a long story, but it essentially means family and love. The abridged version of the story is we, growing up, had our bedrooms on the second floor, but there was no bathroom on the second floor. So if in the middle of the night you need a buddy to not walk through the cemetery with you, but
It's like a
when
Cape
we were
Cod
little,
sort of house.
you had to go to that. We would wake each other up. So it was like, good night, sweet dreams, sleep tight, love you, see you in the morning was our bedtime ritual. And then it extended to wake me up if you have to go to the bathroom. If you, in the summer, because there was no air conditioning, get a wet washcloth to put on your forehead. And this long trail of things kept going and going. And it got so long and ridiculous that one person would say it and then the other person would say ditto. And then it just was replaced with ditto, right? Before bed. So it was it stood for good night, sleep tight, love you, see you in the morning, wake me up if you gotta go pee, get it well.
What's the age difference?
2 years.
Oh, it's not bad.
Yep.
Okay, you said 2. And she has children?
She does. I have the coolest niece and nephew, Allie and Drew, and they're
Your
in
face
Detroit.
just lit up with that.
They're cool little humans, and I don't have kids of my own, but I'm super lucky to be their aunt. Yeah.
So you like being Aunt Amber?
I love it. I love being Aunt Amber.
Do you spoil them?
Oh, I mean, probably not as much as I could or should, but yeah.
Spoiling is good spoiling. It doesn't matter how much or how little, you do it.
Well, last time I was home in Detroit, we woke up and somehow my niece Allie convinced me to take them for ice cream for breakfast. So I think that tells you all you need to know.
I love that.
She's like,
I like her.
Listen, we got to go get ice cream. Well, there's this place. Let me tell you about it. All right. And somehow, we all the adults and everybody. She's 9. She's 9. She's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah.
See, I
Anyhow, yes, my sister and I have matching tattoos, and we did that here in Philadelphia when she came to visit.
That's awesome. Yeah, kids. I like them for that short period of time. Then it's get away.
No, they could come and hang with me for a couple weeks or whatever. It'll be fine. It'll be good.
Oh my gosh, this has been great because I'm able to, with being able to just sit here and having an open conversation, you don't get to hear, just the everyday things.
Yeah, that's right.
People don't get to really peel layers back sometimes and hear it. They just know Amber Miller of 104.5,
Yeah.
and they don't know they didn't. Most people don't even know probably that you are the program manager of the station.
No, because that's not the sexy part of the job,
No,
right? That's nobody
sexy
wants to know
part's on
about
air.
that. Excel reports, ratings reports, what? Yeah.
And that's and that to me when I look at that, it's like there's so much more layers behind people that people don't see about, and that's the humanizing of it.
I couldn't agree more, and I think you do such a great job just in your day-to-day existence, not just with this podcast, but in your day-to-day existence of really connecting on a human level and sharing human stories, and that's something that I have a lot of respect for, and it's very inspiring. So I appreciate that about you. That our dogs led us to meet, and it's kind of led to this.
Oh yeah, and you and for me it's because not many people get a chance to peel layers back and just have a conversation.
Yeah.
And just talk and no agenda. I don't have an index card. I'm not sitting here like, oh, I want to ask Amber this, and this, and this about her life.
Nail her on this.
Yeah. Like, no, I just sort of want to talk because where it goes, it goes. If it hits a tangent, it hits a tangent. But you always find out something more about people when you do.
I couldn't agree more.
Thanks
for doing this.
Oh my gosh, thanks for finally coming in here. And I was joking. It wasn't like pulling teeth with you. It really wasn't.
It's okay. I still will take the fall for you.
It was a little difficult, but it wasn't like pulling teeth,
I'm here now.
You are here. That doesn't matter. We could take that all back. But thank you so much.
Thank you,
And
Britt.
if people want to, and they should, they need to, tune in 104.5 weekdays.
Yep.
Monday through
Weekdays,
Friday.
Yep, 7 to midnight. But I encourage you to listen all as the program director, as the manager, the not so sexy part of the job. I encourage you to listen all day long.
Now, if you were the program manager, would you have done that? Said all day long?
No, because I would have. I actually really love the people that I work with, and Jessie is our midday host, 10 to 3, and she's a true Philadelphian, born, bred, raised, and her energy could power an entire city. She's got just the most amazing vibes. Our afternoon host, Mike Jones, is wacky.
Mike Jones, he's crazy.
Wacky and so authentic. And you might think if you listen to him on the radio that's not who he is. And that is exactly who he is in real life. You go out to eat, he's constantly talking about wrestling and wearing ridiculous suits. And he's so genuine and so cool. I love
That's awesome.
I love my people. Yeah.
That's great. So it's the three of you. You do the morning. The morning show is the Woody Show.
Yep, the morning show is the Woody Show. They're great, 6 to 10 a.m. And then we.
I've grown to like them.
Yep.
I have.
They're very nice. I love to hear that. And that's the thing. Like maybe you haven't listened in a while, and maybe you got out of your routine with the pandemic, and it's kind of come back. I think the music is great right now. We have all these great new music features. We do a Sunday night new music show, which is like 2 hours of full new music immersion, which is like my happy place.
Did you guys? I hope it's you guys. Did you do the Sunday morning acoustic?
Yep. Stripped down, unplugged Sunday morning.
Yes. Yeah. One of my favorites on a Sunday morning.
Yep.
It was just always so cool. The acoustic. Thank gosh it was you. I thought so.
Nope. It's us. So that's like 7:30 to 10 every Sunday morning, and Aiden hosts that, and he's also a Philly guy through and through, and he's got like the perfect like vibe for it. He's such a nice enhancement to the music to hang on Sunday mornings with your coffee and your unshowered, potentially exhausted for the night before state. It's great.
So Instagram, she's my friend.
She's my friend.
Twitter, Amber K. Miller.
Amber K. Miller.
Are you on a Facebook page?
Yeah, I don't.
You
really,
don't use it.
It's like for my family, right? It's like.
But you don't have your own fan page.
No.
See,
there's enough to keep up.
There you go. But thank you so much for showing up today.
Thank you, Britt. I am honored to be here, and it's so nice to like talk to you and not be being pulled in the
different direction. Okay, see ya.
Direction with the dogs, yeah.
But remember everybody, make sure you tune in, listen to Amber and the rest of her team all day long on 104.5. It really is one of the only stations I listen to, unless for some reason like there's a commercial and I don't like I change it. But anyway, thank you all for tuning in today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for getting to know Amber a little bit better. Amber, thanks again for joining me.
Thank you, Britt.
Great.
I appreciate you.
Everybody else out there, have a great rest of your day. Remember, whatever it is you stand for, be a voice. This is Britt Carpenter on Usula Media. Have a great rest of your day.